Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Felice Cellini. Welcome to our Why Wait for. This is Why Wait for Recovery. It's our Why Wait for Recovery Thursday evening community meeting. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Haiti, and I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. I am an emotional eater. I'm a binger. I'm a purger. I'm a food addict, a drug addict in recovery.
You have to make some kind of song for that.
I know. I think I should break out into some more dance.
I'm a drug addict, alcoholic, anorexic, and I am really, really blessed and grateful to be in recovery. And thank you, everybody who's joining us tonight, for joining us tonight.
And we get together twice a week, actually, to discuss.
Every twice a week,
and we discuss what recovery is and how you get it and what it looks like. We're two friends in recovery. We're not affiliated with any organization. This is our stories of strength, hope, and courage. And we live stream on Facebook and YouTube, and people jump into our virtual room. If you want to get in on the conversation, hop on to What's Eating You on Facebook and join us as well, because we'd love to hear from you.
We would love to hear from you. And tonight we're gonna continue with honesty. And so we're talking about being honest. And we're going to do a little talking tonight about talking about other folks.
Right, so I've been hearing about that bitch.
That bitch.
Right, and that bitch is that person who says the nasty stuff like you're fat, or why did you go for bariatric surgery, or how could you do that, and the one who talks about you and is responsible for us picking up.
Right, responsible for all of the woes in our life. Well, we know obviously that we're responsible for all of the woes in our life, and that the opinions of everybody else only matters if I allow the opinion of everybody else to matter.
And that's a really difficult line, or acceptance for me is really something that I sometimes struggle with, because my ego also tends to step in and it becomes about me and not really about the other person. And I tend to believe a lot of stuff because I don't have great self-esteem.
Yeah, and so most addicts, part of the reason that we get that way is because of our lack of self-esteem and because of the way that we view the world. And when Haiti talks about the ego, we talk about our ego being what I believe your opinion of me is. And when I don't have a really good opinion about myself, then what I believe your opinion of me is what matters. And so I go around, and instead of being authentic to myself, I present with this mask, and I act the way that I think that you want me to act, and do the things that I think that you want me to do, and say the things that I think that he wants me to say, so that I can please other people, because I have no idea what it is that I'm about, or how it is that I can live being authentic and truthful to myself and be of service to the community because of that.
So I've always been a people pleaser. You know, I always put other people before myself, before my friends came before me, my family. You know, I've always wanted to do the right thing, and I always thought if I kept busy doing other people's stuff, everyone would like me. And so I was brought up to present.
How did that, I know I'm interrupting you, but how did that work out for you?
Well, I looked fantastic on the outside,
Okay.
and I was continually busy, and I seemed like the most popular person on the block, and I was getting so much done. But on the inside, I was hollow, and I was really empty, and I felt worn out, and I felt drained every single day, and at the end of the day, I would basically crash. I mean, I would hit that crash after I had my sugar high. But I basically would be drained and exhausted. I'd forget to eat properly. I'd forget how to look after myself. And most of all, I didn't know how I was feeling most of the time.
Yeah, and also, you guys, it's a real lonely place to be. And we walk around, usually when we're living that type of life, we walk around with a whole lot of resentment. Well, I did this for Haiti, and you know what? She didn't even call me 3 times to thank me. And she didn't put it up on Facebook and tell all of her friends how wonderful I was. And you know, I did this for my boss, and I didn't get the raise. I mean, he didn't ask me to do it, but I did it anyway, but I didn't get that raise. And so I'm walking around resentful and miserable all the time, and I can't understand why I'm resentful and miserable, because everything that I'm doing is to please somebody else. And that's a really great way you guys are hiding from yourself.
So I was the yes girl. I never knew how to say no.
You made a movie about it.
I was a social slut. You know? I was a girl that couldn't say no. So anything,
different meaning.
Different kind of meeting. But I was the girl that you wanted something done. I was the one who volunteered, and the chairperson of the PTA, and all that. Anything needed to be done, I was the person to do it. So I'd be busy till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be busy organizing stuff. And if you asked me to drive 50 miles to go pick something up, I would volunteer to go do it, and I didn't know how how to say no.
And remember, if you ask me to do something and I do it even though I don't want to do it, and I'm resentful, that's not me being of service, right? That whole people pleaser thing that we talk about actually allows me to keep myself in victim mode. Oh, poor me, I do so much, and I'm so unappreciated, and nobody really cares, and nobody sees how much I do, and that's the way that we feel. We feel lonely and taken advantage of because of what we're allowing. And all of that stuff is stuff that we allow, that we set ourselves up for, not only allow.
And I get into deflection mode. So the deflection
Not
mode,
reflection.
not exactly, not reflection, but deflection. So the deflection comes that why doesn't my husband understand? And if the kids would just leave me alone and be quiet, then I could do all the stuff that's so important and get it done. And they get pushed to the side, then I'd be bitchy and short-tempered with them and irritable all the time and end up saying things to them that I didn't mean or I didn't know where they came from. But I would get really snappy and not really know why. And it was all because I was really busy with all the stuff. So I'm very good at being busy.
And we get snappy and irritable because we're resentful. And so it's going to get back to resentful. And we remember that every negative feeling that we have is fear-based, right? I'm afraid of getting what I want, or I'm afraid of losing what I have. And so I did all of this stuff for you, and I'm not going to get what I want because you haven't told everybody, you know, what a goddess I am yet. And you're not continually telling me how wonderful I am and continually telling me what a fabulous job I do with everything. And so whenever I'm doing something because I'm looking for something in return, that's really not, it's more coming from a place of lack because I'm only doing it because I need something from you. And it's going to leave me unhappy because I'm doing things for the wrong reason. It's different to show up at work and do your job because you're getting a paycheck. That's more of a contract type of thing, and we understand our roles there. But as far as the role that we play in life, when we're giving, to give from the heart and not expect to receive is a completely different animal than to show up a certain way so that other people will like you.
So you mean you get resentful if you don't have 1 million likes on Facebook and you're not being live streamed all over?
Yeah,
something like that. So I think also the other side of it is putting my self-esteem in other people's eyes.
That's
So
ego.
when I was using, or at that point, it became really my value, and the value I gave myself was how much you valued me, rather than me doing things because it made me happy without any expectation. You know, and that's something that I still continually learn, and very often having teenagers go, I can go, don't you know what I do for you? And I can go back into that state of mind, but really they're still teenagers and they're still kids. But I'm trying to work on being more in the moment and more present and check my motives of why I'm doing stuff, and doing it more because it makes me happy than because it makes what I think would make you happy, or because you would accept me, or because you would like me.
Right, again, so if you're doing something so that Kim accepts you or likes you, you're doing something with the expectation of something back. It's not that you're doing something to be kind. End of discussion. Right? You're doing something because you need something back from Kim, and that's something that you're incapable of finding inside yourself.
Right, so that becomes a whole question of altruism. Like when you start, well, for me, like sometimes getting involved in those charitable things and doing things for charity because I wanted the recognition, because I'm such a good person if I'm giving and being of service all the time, rather than doing it just because no one knows about it. It's also even more special because it's something I carry.
Right. If you're doing it for something back, that's not altruism.
Exactly. So it's a very
that's
fine
just whatever
line.
I need.
It's a very fine line. So how uncomfortable does this subject make people? Because I must tell you, I'm like the Facebook shock. I go through the different groups and see what's happening and what people are talking about, especially within the bariatric realm. Because I went for bariatric surgery, and for a long time, I did.
Oh,
I got
really?
the instant fix, okay? And for a long time, I carried a lot of shame and guilt with it that my family said, don't discuss it with anyone. But people couldn't understand how it got so thin so quickly. They thought I was sick, okay? And I really wasn't, or they thought this was a fabulous diet.
Although, you know, it would be easier for those family people if you could actually come out and say, I've lost 63 pounds in the last 4 months because I have cancer. Like, that's acceptable.
Well,
That's acceptable.
No,
Having
honestly-
bariatric surgery is acceptable, but being sick, that's okay to talk
Well,
about.
I used to dream about having that magical tapeworm.
It's
I mean, the
called
designer
whatever
tapeworm
it is,
that you
yeah.
could actually like have and swallow, and you'd lose like 80 to 100 pounds and then get rid of it. That would be like perfect. But isn't it like crazy? I mean, just in terms of my head, so for a long time, I walked around with the shame and guilt for having done something that saved my life.
Yeah.
And really, that's the bottom line, is it really was my absolute last resort. I didn't understand about recovery and this kind of thing, but for me, that was my last resort health-wise to get healthy. And I carried that like a cloak of shame, and it took me years. I mean, it really, not years, it took me a couple of months to actually start talking about it and sharing about it. It was easy for me to talk about recovery, about everything else except my weight.
Yeah, and so we're talking about being our authentic selves, right? We're talking about this month, we're talking about honesty. Again, what you present as far as your personal stuff to other people, if you want other people to know that you're in recovery, that you've had surgery, if you don't think it's any of their business, those are personal choices that you make. For me, it's easier when people know things about me, when people know that I'm in recovery and you know what I'm doing is about recovery. It just makes it easier for me. I never have to lie to anybody, and I could always be truthful. It's a, you know, and I tell you guys this, like I'm a physician assistant, and I have a PhD, and I'm a grandma, and you know, I'm a daughter, and I'm an aunt, and I'm a sister, and I'm a friend, and I'm an addict in recovery. And all of those things make me exactly who I am. None of them are good, bad, or indifferent. They just are. And just as you don't judge me for being a sister, you know, if you choose to judge me because I'm in recovery, that's about you. That's not about me. And so my truth is my truth. But again, everybody, what somebody wants to present, that's always up to you guys. Anything that you want to present, that's not our business to say.
So if people are being mean, and they're being judgmental, and they're being bitchy, and I always have to come back to my bariatric surgery, because for me that is my truth and that's my story. So when people would say to me, you took the easy way out, or all these things that I had in my head, how could you do that? There were so many different things that I carried in my head, and I held other people as resentful that my husband could eat certain things in front of me and I wasn't allowed it, and all these different stories that I created in my head, whereas I'd make choices that I thought were the best choices for me. So it's really starting to learn that what other people say or do is really immaterial in me being happy.
Right, so one of the 4 agreements, right, don't take it personally. And so remember, you guys, I only take personally what I believe. So if somebody has a conversation with me and says, Felice, I can't believe you grew 4 feet overnight, and that's so incredible, and I need to speak to your doctor or your priest or whatever drugs you're taking because I want to grow 4 feet overnight as well, I'm going to think they're high, right? Or they're crazy, or there's something wrong with them. I'm not going to believe it. Right? And if somebody is saying something to me like I'm an anorexic, if somebody walks up to me and says, gaining a little weight there, huh? Looking kind of good, gaining a little weight, and I get hysterical about it, it's because something that plays into my own belief system that makes me believe that if I gain weight that I'm not good. Right? Yeah,
Isn't
we got
it
some head
amazing?
shakers out there, yeah.
Isn't it amazing that we put so much value into the way that we look rather than the way that we feel? You know, I read these things of, you know, people die from complications or whatever. I mean, from surgeries, from walking across the street and getting hit by cars and, you know, all different things. There's no guarantee that we've got tomorrow.
Right. Well, we all know,
You know,
that. Well,
but-
some of us more than others.
Right, and the thing is that for me, I'd rather have spent hours in every day. I look back at how much time I've lost during my time in active addiction where I was miserable and unhappy and unable to laugh and unable to connect with people and sitting in judgment rather than actually making the most of that time and enjoying the time with them. You know, I'm sitting with my son the other day. This is like a few days ago. We had a therapist. We started at this therapist, he was 11 years old, he's 18. I'm looking at the sofa, you're sitting in exactly the same place as when we started. And from this little kid, I remember this little kid on the sofa to all of a sudden looking at this man, and I think how much time I actually missed out of him growing up and connecting with him because I was so stuck in my own head and wanting him to do things a certain way and judging things that he did. And it wasn't just with him. I was judging myself constantly and then just putting that back out there.
Yeah,
So
we
lose time.
Yeah, we do lose time, and we have to be careful. So that's an observation that you made because it's a fact, correct?
Right.
And the feelings that you attach to that fact, because we talk about this a lot, the feelings that you have attached to it, feelings of remorse or guilt or shame, those are things that you're allowed to, not you're allowed to feel whatever you want to, but it's preferable if you feel them, work through them, and move on. Because otherwise we're sitting in that past. Instead of saying, wow, all of this stuff happened, I'm really glad that I'm where I am now, because starting this second, things are going to be different for us, right? Because when things are different for you, things are different between you and the entire universe.
And relationships shift. You know, things change. The toughest thing in stepping into recovery is everything changes, and it just happens.
The toughest thing is everything, because we need to change everything.
And it's a process, you know, it's a learning process, and that's why we do what we do, because we learn from each other.
Yep.
You know, this is why we created this community, because there's no one fix for everybody, that if you swallow this pill, it's going to work. It's a learning process, and we come in at different stages, and we're receptive at different stages.
Correct. And we get it when we get it, and that's okay too, because that's the way that it is. That's acceptance, right?
So I thought you want to check in?
Yes, check in. So let's start up there. Jess, you want to start? Hi, Jess.
Hey, Jess, so we can either talk
Girls.
about the subject at hand or what's going on in your world.
Hi everyone. Oh, I didn't really want to speak first.
Too bad. Too late.
Yeah, it's always the way. No. It's interesting because while you've been sharing, of course I relate to the not being able to say no. Yeah, that was interesting. I obviously relate to that. I find that's even in my work, that is an issue. Saying no or saying no probably. It's interesting. You said something, this thing of related to the other day. Someone actually asked me, "What did I need?" And I just found myself completely couldn't answer it. Couldn't even formulate an answer because I didn't know what I needed at all in that space in time as such. Again, I sort of had to go back to the feelings and say, well, what are those feelings telling me? I was in a lot of sadness, so I couldn't really say what I needed. So that was interesting to observe that. And that was just the things that sort of struck me when you were sharing.
And what do you need, Jess?
To be loved, accepted, valued, appreciated. There you go. To tell the truth, that's probably what it is. But that isn't always going to be possible. It's acceptance of not getting that as well. But obviously I've got to give that to myself as well.
Yeah, and so I was just going to ask you that. Yeah, and so those are basic human emotions that you'd like filled, right? We all like to be in relationships. We like to have friends. We like to have relationships. We like to have places to go and things to see and family and all of that stuff. And those are things that are part of our life as our community, right? And people always do better in a community than they do by themselves. It's different when you're in a relationship with somebody. A relationship is also kind of like a contract, which I'm actually learning right now from my therapist. And it's okay to want certain things out of that relationship. And we talk about there's a difference between acceptance and with boundaries. And it's okay for you to be a loving, giving person, and in a relationship, expect love and kindness back. And so that's okay. When you're looking outside of yourself, because you can't stand to wake up with yourself, so you're looking for Patty to be your BFF so that she can fill you or fulfill you with the stuff that you can't get to yourself, you're always going to feel empty and alone and afraid, right? Because you're chasing something that's not there for you. You could be as nice and kind as you want to be, and maybe Patty's just really mean. I'm sure you're not Patty, but I'm using you because you're there. She is. Patty's really mean. So, no, but how you present is how you present, right? And so what I would do is make sure that I'm strong in some type of community, right? You know, that whole you're not alone thing. It's important. We're human beings, right? Living some type of spiritual experience. And we want to share that with other people. But we need to make sure that in the relationships that we're having, we're not looking to others to fill us up with stuff that we don't feel inside of ourselves. Because that's always going to stay hollow, right? And so in recovery, we learn to forgive ourselves and to forgive others. We learn to look at where we think we need improvement and improve on that so that we're doing our best to do our best so that we could be of service to the community. Being of service itself just makes you feel absolutely amazing. It's just like such a wonderful thing to do. And also learning to let go of those fears, right? Learning acceptance for the way that the world is around us, understanding what it is that our place is out there, right? And being kind to you. And so those are things that you're gonna work on in recovery, right? You're doing the workshop, I would imagine. So you're gonna learn a whole lot when you do that workshop. Because we're gonna, when we do the workshop, you guys, we look at the why. Here we give some quick answers or some quick quips, things that have worked for us. But it's finding out what's driving me. Because remember, whatever's driving me, whatever is driving my perspective is driving my behavior, right? And so when I relapse, there's a reason for that, right? When you picked up, there was a reason for that. It's finding out what that is before we pick up, kind of a preemptive strike, right? And so that's what we're gonna look for, and that's what you're gonna work on. One thing about you, Jess, is you show up, man. You show up and you say how you feel, and you're learning to learn how you feel. And we all have to start somewhere. So when we're in active addiction, we spend a whole lot of time being nowhere, right? And not paying attention to anything except for the guilt and the shame that we feel about waking up in the morning, swearing that we're not going to choose a certain behavior, doing it anyway, going to bed guilty, and waking up hating ourselves and ashamed, and doing the same thing all over again. That part of our addiction also allows us only to look at the stuff that we're doing as opposed to how we're feeling and why we're doing what we're doing. And so that's what actually stepping into recovery is going to teach you. And good job you for being here and for sharing.
The one thing that we do is identify with each other as addicts. And Jess, when you're talking, I'm still stuck on the one thing, is like how you said that you didn't know what you needed. I came into these rooms, I was empty on the inside, but I knew exactly what everyone else around me needed. I had checklists of what my husband needed, my kids needed, my parents, my sisters, my friends, everyone else. I knew exactly what they needed, except the one person not in that whole equation was me. I didn't even know what that looked like. Yeah. So thank you for sharing. That is, I absolutely can identify.
Yeah, it's something that's super important. So thank you. Does anybody want to share anything with Jess?
Just unmute yourselves, or
yeah, if you have anything to share there. Otherwise, I'm gonna pick on Liz. Okay, so go ahead. Hi, Laura. We didn't get to say hi.
Hi. Hi. So just the very end of what she was saying, I hope that I understood it, but it was something interesting about not really knowing what Katie was saying, but not knowing what everyone else needs, but not knowing what we need ourselves. Right. And the reason I'm a little late is that I had to meet a friend, and she said to me something I thought was interesting, and she said, Laura, I never feel like you really give, like you always talk about me. You always talk about, what's going on with me, with her, but you never really talk about yourself, and you never give you never give the real headlines. You might when you warm up at the very end, which I thought was interesting.
How many people here have do that?
I would love to just say something. I'm the guest that you love having at dinner parties, because the first time I meet you, I'm really fabulous and easy to talk to, but after the third time, I don't know what to say.
Because we're done talking about you. Yeah. Now I've got absolutely nothing to share about me. Super important that you said that, Laura. You're going to find that a lot of addicts also have heard from others. I certainly have. You're always fine. You're always great. You're always happy. And you're always helping other people. And you're always fine and great and you're happy, and that wall that you put between you and everybody else isn't really penetrable. and kind of makes me feel a little farther away from you than I would like to be. It's a way of us. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's just interest here, you know, so when I was hearing the end of what you were talking about, that's what I connected with.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome thing to say, because I think that, like I said, I think that a whole lot of people that are listening are definitely shaking their heads right now.
And it also reminds me of something. You know, when I first stepped in, I didn't want to share. I never had the perfect share, and I thought people were going to judge what I was saying. And it took a long time for me to actually start talking in these meetings and actually sharing authentically instead of this fabulous verbiage. And also writing it online in What's Eating You. I still struggle with putting out my real feelings out there, because I don't know if they're that important, you know, and I keep judging the feelings to make sure they're the perfect feelings that I can actually share. I mean, this is the crazy shit that goes through my head. So whenever my head starts telling me don't say it, is more reason for me to actually really do it, because my first thought is usually the wrong thought.
You know, and I'll tell you, and I say this, I could stand up right now in front of 1,000 doctors and lecture on diabetes and feel like queen whatever, like absolutely poised and together and comfortable. And when I stand up in a room in front of 20 addicts and I need to speak, my heart is racing and I'm worried about what I'm going to say, because I'm going to talk about how I feel. I'm not going to talk about what I know or what I do. I'm going to talk about how I am. And it takes a lot to get to that point, first of all, where you think maybe somebody is genuinely interested in knowing how I am. Because who would be interested really in knowing how I am? I know people are interested in me helping them. I don't know how many people are interested in knowing me.
Yeah.
And that's my own lack of self-esteem. Yes, I got that to you guys. So that's my own, you know, that fear is comes from inside of me, from whatever, you know, I'd always been brewing inside of me, that I work on all the time in recovery.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Good to see you, Laura. Miss Liz? Liz? Okay, you didn't get away. It's your turn now.
I know, I'm kind of racking my brain tonight trying to think of something to share. I do struggle with opening up and sharing with people, just like Laura was talking about, how, you know, you might listen to someone else, you know, a friend of yours talk and just talk about themselves, and then you know, it's way into the conversation until you start to warm up and, you know, share what's going on with yourself. So that's me as well. And I think for me, I still do that even with my closest friends, and I don't know, a lot of it's just fear of getting too close to people and having my heart broken, just because of, you know, things that have happened over the years in the past, and trusting people, and I don't know.
And so remember, when we get our heart broken, and so real quick, so I've had sponsees before, and I remember I had this little girl that was a sponsee, little girl. She was 19 years old, and, you know, she met my family. We did all this stuff together. She didn't have a family here, and she had just gotten into treatment. And I spent a lot of time with her in a short period of time. And my boyfriend, Joe, had said to me, this little girl's going to break your heart. And I'm like, how? And he's like, you know, I don't think that she's going to stay clean, and it's going to break your heart. And I'm like, how can it break my heart? I expect nothing from her. I'm not giving from her to get back. I'm giving to her because it makes me happy to do my best to help this girl. I expect absolutely nothing back. And she relapsed and she went back into treatment and she whatever, but that didn't have anything to do with me. So remember, when we talk about not getting close to people because we're afraid they're gonna break our hearts, if we don't have, you know, again, acceptance of people the way that they are is acceptance of people the way that they are. I'm going to tell you right now, with you guys that I'm close to, if any one of you said to me tomorrow, you know what, I hate you and we've been on this journey together and I think that you're full of shit and I can't believe that you say this stuff that you say and I don't ever want to speak to you again. My heart, would I be sad for a little bit because I would miss my friend? Yeah. Haiti, would I be sad because I'd miss you if you said? Yeah. Would it break my heart? No. Would I feel for you? Yes. Would I wish you the best? Yes. Do I have expectations of Haiti or of Andrew, of the people that I know? Do I have expectations of you guys filling me up and putting you in that position where if you didn't want to be my friend anymore, that would crush me? No, I don't. I don't have that expectation of you. What I do expect from me is that I see the best in you as best as I can, and that I show up and I do my best. If I'm in a relationship with you, Liz, and I make you so much more important than me, when something happens, I'm gonna fall down and make it really hard it's gonna be real hard for me to get up, right? People leave you guys and people die. If you had a best friend and that best friend died, God forbid, would it break your heart? Yes. Would you be angry? No, right? It would break your heart and then you'd get through it. If you're in it's funny, if we're in a relationship with somebody and somebody decides to leave, it breaks our heart and we don't get through it. Why? Because we take it personally. Because they left because I'm not good enough. And as soon as you learn that you are good enough, that you have a lot to give, and that there are lots of people to be in relationships with, and that people are gonna come into our lives and leave our lives, and that the only thing that we do by closing ourselves off to those experiences is leave us lonely. You know, you get your heart broken, okay, pick it back up off the floor, put it back together, stick it back in there, and move forward. Because there's somebody else out there that wants to be a friend. Somebody else that needs your help. You know, somebody else that wants you to take their hand. And as long as we keep ourselves, if we look back at I'm gonna look back at my relationship with my son. Would I have rather not have had a relationship with my son? He died. Was it painful? Absolutely. You know, he was 17. Do I want to erase? If I had a chance to do it over again, would I erase the 17 years so that I didn't get hurt? Or do I get to look at, listen, it cost me more money than you can imagine to get to this place, by the way. But did I get to the place where I could say, thank you, universe, for allowing me the luxury of having a relationship with this person? You know, I love anyone I've ever been in a relationship with. And I hold no anger. Are we angry in the beginning? Of course we are. Do we want to hold on to that anger? Why? It takes away everything great that happened. Everything. We erase everything great because somebody decided that they needed to move on. Why we do that? What are you afraid of? Somebody leaves, they leave. That's okay. They're moving on in their universe that way. To keep yourself closed off from relationships because you are afraid of getting hurt I think that loneliness hurts more than anything else does.
Absolutely. And I think there's also the other side of, you know, when I started stepping into recovery and I lost a lot of weight and I started realizing that I am an addict and that I do have a food addiction, I lost friends. I lost friends of nearly 20 years that just disappeared because of where I was. And my friends, I was using with my friends. That became our excuse. We'd go out, we'd use, we'd get high, we'd do whatever it was, whether it was food or no matter what that substance was. The minute I shifted, that friendship shifted. And to this day, I absolutely don't know why those friendships ended. And those are friendships that my kids grew up with these people, or these are people that have left my life with absolutely no reason. And in the beginning, I beat myself up. But when I think about it, I was an absolutely amazing friend, you know, to the best of my ability at that stage. I was kind, I was caring, I was the person that people came to their house to hang out with. I would put myself out for you. That was the type of friend I thought I needed to be. But I must tell you, I've met better friends in recovery because there's a different level of honesty. You know, there's a certain way that I can talk to someone and I know that they're going to love me irrespective of what I'm saying or what I'm giving them, because it's based on just wanting the best for that person. I want the best for you because I love you for the person that you are. You know, I'm proud of you for just stepping up and talking. I don't judge you by any other criteria. I just know that you're doing the best that you absolutely could do at this point in time.
And that's awesome. That's awesome. That's finding the awesomeness in somebody, right? Is getting to that person's authentic self. Excuse me, we have you wanted to share something, Ange, somebody's comment?
Yeah. So in response to what you said, Sarah says, Felice, it would break my heart if someone I liked yelled at me and attacked me verbally. I just would obsess about it ad nauseum, but sometimes someone leaves because we did something bad to the relationship. Sometimes it is us, not them. So I guess that was in response to what.
Yeah, so here's the
Totally
thing, you guys. First of all, I'm really into fixing the problem, not the blame. That's first of all. So when something happens in a relationship, it happens. If I wasn't at my best, then I wasn't at my best. And if you weren't at your best, you weren't at your best. If somebody screams at you and speaks nastily to you, that's a boundary, man. You don't have to accept that. You can respect yourself enough to say, hey, I appreciate that you have something to say to me, but it's unacceptable for me if you yell at me, and if that's going to be our relationship, then I can't be in a relationship with you. Remember, we talk about the difference between acceptance and boundaries. Do we mess up? Of course we do. We're human beings. Of course we're going to mess up. The only thing that we need to do is our best to do our best. And you know what? If I make a mistake and you don't want to be my friend, then you don't want to be my friend, right? If I make a mistake and you say, hey, Felice, you know, this happened. Let's talk about it because I felt like this. And let's see how we can do our best next time. Then that's what'll happen.
Yeah, usually it ends up with me crying.
It
So
always ends up with her
I can
crying.
never just say, listen, this upset me. So I usually do the upset me and get it out in another way. But I'm learning how to speak more effectively. But it's true.
But it's not even effectively. Right. It's that you present and you're scared.
Well,
that you're going to show me who you are,
right?
And that I'm not going to be accepting, or I'm going to be angry or hurtful.
Or you're going to leave.
Right, or I'm going to leave. And does that ever happen?
Not
no, it doesn't. But that's because our relationship is a more true relationship than a lot of relationships we have with other people.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because when you first started telling me that you love me, I used to think, what does this chick want? Like,
everybody thinks that.
I used to think, what does she want from me? Like, what is this relationship about? She has to want something, because that was the way that I was brought up. Everybody wants something from you. And then when I start putting it into perspective, and I look at the misery, and I look at the guilt, and I look at the shame, and I look at all the other stuff, compared to where I am now, I've been given the greatest gift in the world. I mean, honestly, I'm humble and I'm grateful, because I couldn't have done this on my own. I was given a gift of life and love and just so many other things that are invaluable to me. I mean, this is something I didn't know how to do it, and without guidance and someone showing me and someone being courageous enough to just say, listen, I love you, that was a huge thing for me to even start accepting.
Yeah, and when you say that, it makes me feel sad. You know, like somebody can't just say, I love you to you guys. Angela had the same experience with me, right? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, Haiti took the words out of my mouth. I thought like, I don't know, I guess it happened the same way. I started doing step work with you, and we developed a relationship, a friendship, and you'd say I love you, and I don't think I would say it back. I wouldn't know what to do with it.
Nor did I want you to say it back. Nor do I care if you say it back. Or
maybe I said it back and I didn't mean it, because knowing me, I was very much a people pleaser, so maybe I said it not knowing, out of being uncomfortable, like what do I say, what do I do? But yeah, I thought.
And what is it that I want from you?
Nothing. You just want for me to be okay,
happy, right? To be kind, right? We have a kind, caring, loving relationship. That's all I want. Yeah. I don't need your money. I don't need your stuff. I don't need your time if you don't have it to give. I don't need anything from you, right? And the time that we spend is a gift, and that's all. It's just a gift, right? Mm-hmm. Doesn't have to be so complicated. We don't have to make it everything so incredibly complicated.
You know what though? I know that you say this, I'm trying to think what you're thinking. I should stop doing that.
She's always thinking what I'm thinking. It's amazing.
So not everybody thinks like you, and not everybody's had that experience, which you said. And so I think a lot of people can probably relate to what Haiti and I have said, mm-hmm. and that we expect that not only you, just in general, people want things from us, and the point of me saying that is that I think this is the first, like Haiti mentioned in recovery, it's the first time I've met people where it's like what you see is what you get. Right. It's kind of this thing where it's like, oh, okay, it doesn't have to be the other way, like it can be the good way too.
Right, yeah. Right, and so choose wisely.
So I see Kim nodding her head. I'd love to hear what she's going to say.
Kim loves to be put on the spot, by the way, you guys. That's her fave.
No, I think it's true when, I have one good friend I've had for like 26 years, so I can be very, I'm me, I'm authentic with her, she's the same with me. We have this, and it's a loving relationship, and she's a good friend of mine. But there are other people, I kind of keep them a little further back, and it's not that I think, I can't imagine that they would want anything from me, and I hope they don't think I want anything from them, but it's very common, right? Because you can't imagine people are just being there to be there. I'm pretty jaded. I always believe somebody's got some motive, but I know that, it's not good, but sometimes I think that way.
And so the thing about what you're saying, so some people do just want something from you, and that's true, and maybe there are a lot of people that do. Right? And so you come across those people and you look at their relationship and you say, gee, is this something that's getting me some happy? And if it's not, you thank them and move on.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just an experience that teaches us something, guys. It doesn't need to kill us. Right? And if Jen doesn't like me, that's okay. That's whatever she's about. That's okay. I'm not her cup of tea. That's cool. That's okay. I don't need to be. I just need to show up and do my best. You have anything to say about that, Jen, since we're calling everybody out tonight? No. Okay. All right. Well, hi. Good to see you. And nobody ever has to speak. So that's cool. We're glad that you're here. So just keep smiling. No, I'm sorry. Patty, you're on. Hi.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, hi. I like what you said. You mentioned something about it's not how you feel, it's how you look, or something like that. I have my whole life pretty much been about worrying about how I look and not how I feel, because that was my mother's mantra. I mean, she didn't give a shit if you didn't feel good. You better darn well show up looking good and don't embarrass the family. And for a long time, I used to do my best, and it was really easy to look like shit just to piss her off, which is terrible. But I mean, stupid thinking, and it got me here. I am struggling today. I still struggle with that a lot. And I'm trying not to. I did have bariatric surgery. I had it 3 months ago. I had a lap band surgery 12 years ago, and learned how to eat around the band.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Everybody can.
I know. And so I went and had a revision surgery 3 months ago. And my struggle today is that it's just all the stinking thinking. I am just, I find myself still practicing the disease.
Okay, so this is what we say, because we're all going to be real honest. So we're going to say, for me, and I say this, and it's super important if you guys could just do this. It's super important for me that everybody out there knows that. You can say, I'm an active addiction. Right. Because you're an active addiction. So say it, recognize it, my life is unmanageable, and then work on it. Right?
I am an active addiction.
Yes, you are. And good for you for saying that.
I'm scared because I've gone through this whole process, and I thought it would be easier. And it's not easy. It's like, oh my God, when does the easy part start?
When you're in recovery, because 100%. If the lap band, if you could go and have bariatric surgery, listen, you guys go and you have bariatric surgery and you stop eating the amount of food that you're eating and you're losing weight, and the only thing you're doing is losing weight. You're not getting better, you're just losing weight. And so you do what you did and you're gonna get what you had, and nothing's changed, and your perspective is the same. And the reason that you're using doesn't change because you take a pill or you have surgery. It doesn't change. So what needs to change is your perspective. How does that perspective change? Take a look at why you're doing the stuff that you're doing. Why are you feeling the way that you're feeling? What are you not walking around in acceptance of? What are you angry and afraid about? It's about that stuff, and we're gonna talk about, we'll talk about the workshop in a little bit, but it's learning why it is that I'm doing, why I'm doing what I'm doing, not what I'm doing. We all know what we're doing, right? If I go to the cabinet and I take 100 milligrams of oxycodone and I drink it down with some water, I know exactly what I did. Why did I do it? Why did I do it when I know in an hour or so I'm gonna hate myself, and I'm gonna wake up in the morning so embarrassed and ashamed, and I'm gonna demoralize myself at the beginning of every single day and do the same thing over and over and over again. There ain't no surgery or no pill in the world that's gonna make that go away, because the pills and the surgery and the diets don't change the way that I look at the world, right? Just once in a while stops me from picking up a piece of cake. It doesn't work. Recovery is about what's going on the inside. It's not about how you look on the outside, and it's about why we're feeling the way that we're feeling, because it's those feelings that are driving our behavior. And what you pick up never matters. It's that you're picking up. It's that you're doing something, doing anything that you can do to change the chemistry in your brain, so that you're either not feeling nothing, or you're feeling better, or you're feeling different, or you're feeling something other than feeling like you, because you're so fucking uncomfortable in your own skin, and you're so scared, and you're so ashamed all the time. And so having a surgery doesn't change that. What changes that is learning why. Listen, I can't fix a problem that I don't know that I have, right?
Right.
Right,
Exactly.
if my car isn't working and I don't know what's wrong with it, how can I fix it? Right? So this is finding out what's going on with you. What it is that's inside of you that allows you to feel the way that you feel, and how do we change it? Right? Recovery, listen you guys, we have challenges and we have solutions. And recovery is about learning why we're feeling the way that we're feeling, so that we can step into the solution, so that we can live happy and be of service to the universe around us. Right? And wake up in the morning and say, wow, you know what, it's Wednesday. You know, today's gonna be an adventure.
And to be happy no matter what we're looking like. It doesn't matter, because at some stage we're all gonna age, and at some stage we're all gonna
Some
look
of us are doing
really
it right
different, and that shouldn't be a barometer of how happy we are according to how we're showing up in the clothes that we're wearing, and how good our skin looks, our hair looks. It's just what's feeling on the inside, because if that little black box has that much power over us that when you step on it and your weight's down, then it means you can have a good, happy day. Or if it's up, it means that you're going to have a really shitty day. Or if your clothes are tight, it means that you're a piece of shit. That is not the way to keep living our lives, because can I tell you something? If dieting worked for me, the very first diet I did would have worked,
Right,
and
when
I
you
would
were
have
12.
kept the weight off.
Right.
And not even then, because I started diet pills at 12 years old. You know, I have holes in my life where I didn't think I looked good enough to be seen in public, or to show up and actually have photos taken. I thought that the whole world was looking at me, and I was a piece of crap because I didn't fit that right kind of thing in my own mind of the way that I should have looked like, rather than being of service and being of some contribution to the world, just being the person that I am.
Right, and just doing your best. You guys, us who are anorexics, who are emotional overeaters, who are bingers, who are purgers, is that stuff ever going to completely go out of our head, and one day we're going to wake up and not care how much we weigh? No, that's not going to happen. Does it have to be the force that drives absolutely everything that we do? Absolutely not.
And I guarantee you something, my husband doesn't even think about this. He's a normal eater. He can eat, he can stop. I still have that bariatric surgery. I could go back and nibble all day if I let myself do it. You know, I could go and start sucking down milkshakes and stuff and still gain all that weight back, because it's a false sense of security when the weight comes off. And when I look at all the stuff I spent money on, between the HCGs and all the other crap that I spent money on, and it worked for a very short period of time, and I thought I'd kicked the habit and I was okay, until I realized something. This little space goes with me no matter where I go, and it's not getting any thinner, and it's not changing anytime soon, because I'm an addict. And it's not always about the food. It can be about the cigarettes, it can be about the pot, it can be about alcohol, it could be about absolutely anything that changes the way that I'm feeling right here and right now. Because if I don't feel that I'm enough, I've got to plug that hole with something else.
Thank you,
Well,
Patty.
Thank you. I know
Welcome.
that I'm
You're
an
good
addict, and I know I just got to keep showing up until I get this.
So I just want to
keep
tell you,
showing up until you get it.
you see,
Jane.
you're in the right place.
That's really
You
that's
see?
right. It's like right there.
As like a sign.
Sarah. How's my Sarah girl? What's going on?
What is she shaking?
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, what
Shaking
rooms
you
I
guys
can go to.
from the train. How are you, baby?
I'm doing okay. Today's been okay, kind of hectic. Not technically in my world, but in other family members' world.
And Miss Sarah, I'm going to interrupt you. So remember, part of your addiction process is you stepping into everybody else's chaos and making it your own. Right? That's kind of one of your MOs that you're working through, correct? That you're getting better at. And so remember, whenever a whole bunch of crazy stuff is happening around you, you're going to remember that you have a choice to listen, to be of help if you can, but not to step into the middle of that chaos, right? Okay, remember that. I want you to remember that. So I want you to be talking to somebody about it, right? Because what happens is, and we haven't had a chance, I know that you have the baby, and I know, sometimes it's kind of hard to show up. But the less that we show up, the less that we remember why we're showing up, right? And the easier it is to fall back into our old thinking, which allows us to fall back into our old behaviors. So when there's stuff going on around you, remember it's going on around you. It's not going on inside of you, and you don't have to allow it to go on inside of you, right? So don't be buying into everybody else's crazies, because that's one of the things that you did in the past that I know that you've worked so hard to change. Now that I've completely interrupted you, go ahead.
Okay, I value the advice. Yeah, definitely just trying to be of help. When my brother is depressed and he's really going through, my dad's out of town, he's calling me. I mean, just to be a listening hand. I don't have much advice to say, but just to be a listening hand, because he's really in a bad place. So that's what I was trying.
Okay, and I'm sorry that he's having a hard time, and I'm sure you're sorry that he's having a hard time too, so that's kind of sucky, right? To see somebody that you love in pain, right? And to know that, you could be there and make sure that somebody isn't, remember, we can, even with the peeps that we love, make sure that we're not enabling them to just sit in their chaos. You guys know I give you 15 seconds, right? You've got 15 seconds to tell me your problem. The solution we could talk about for the rest of our lives. But if you're talking about your problem for more than 15 seconds, you're not talking about your problem, you're living in the middle of your chaos, right? Okay, so I want you to keep that in mind. We have 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
go
just
to
want to
Ange.
check in with Ahmed quickly as well.
Okay, Ahmed? You okay?
Yeah.
You want to share, or you?
That's okay.
Okay, it's okay.
Ange, you got something?
No.
No? Kim, is there anything else that you wanted to share?
Something that was said earlier, you were talking about your son, and my daughter reached out to me yesterday, and I'm an alcoholic, a drug addict. I had the surgery. I've had it 2 years ago, and my kids are older and they're not in the house. But one of them's a pothead and the other has eating issues. So the one with the eating issues said to me yesterday, I can't believe, how heavy I've got. And it just broke my heart, because I felt so, like, I was so glad that I wasn't drinking and drugging, but after a year of that kind of sobriety, or 2 years of that, then I picked up food. So I know they're older and they're making their own decisions, but it was so painful yesterday, because I have to think, oh, if only, I hadn't have done this, or, maybe she wouldn't be struggling with this, because I was so happy that neither one of them were real drug addict. And I know pot's a problem, but I don't consider it to be. I know it's a problem, but they both have a problem. But that's, for me, yesterday was kind of like a reality check that they both have problems. I can't do anything about it. I can love them and let them know that whatever I can do to support them. But, you know, it was just difficult, you know?
Of course it is. So you're seeing people that you love, you know that they're struggling.
Right.
And you're their mom.
Right.
So of course you're gonna have feelings about that. You're gonna have some guilt feelings, you know, maybe if this happened, if this happened, if this happened. One thing I do wanna mention, so you said, well, the pot's not so bad, and then I'm only eating because they're not really drug addicts, and it don't matter what we're picking up.
Right.
The problem is us.
Right.
So it's that they're hurting.
Right.
They're picking up is an end result of how they're feeling.
Right.
And so what they're picking up, if they're starving themselves, you know, when I starve myself, I look great, right? I'm killing myself and I look fabulous. So remember, it's not about what the behavior is. It's about what we're going through, what we're feeling, how we're looking at the world, our perspective. And it's so amazing and awesome how even you as an addict, God bless you, think that there are certain addictions that are worse than others.
Yes, I
You
do.
do.
I do.
Everybody does. It's like, oh, if I come in here, so I'm a drug addict. Uh-oh. And I remember in the beginning when we used to run these meetings, it was like,
Yours is worse.
she's a drug addict. Okay, so I choose to kill myself differently than you're choosing to kill yourself. Mine ain't no worse than yours. Mine might look worse. I mean, I don't know which one looks worse. Maybe it'll kill me faster. But it's never about what we're picking up, you guys. It's about why.
Right.
And so they're hurting. And so my hope for you is that at some point maybe you could open up some type of conversation with them when you feel comfortable, if they'll feel comfortable. And maybe you could share a little bit about your recovery and what that's done for you.
And invite them to come with you. You know, I learned that I didn't give my kids great coping skills. I was incapable of giving good coping skills. And they know about the rooms and they know about coming in, and they was invited to a meeting. I got brought into a meeting, I was invited by a friend.
Well, I made her come.
She
It's
made
not
me
really
do the
good.
meeting.
We're a business partner, so, yeah.
So we're running out of time, so I just
Running out
wanted
of
to quickly do a couple of things. We have an intensive one-day workshop about what's eating me, and starting on July 21st. I haven't discussed this with Felice, but I'm doing an early bird special, like $24.99 just for 1 week. She's
Okay.
gonna kill me, but
Okay.
and the reason I say this is we use monies that we get here to spread the message and to get the message across to reach more people. It's really intensive and it's a very limited time offer.
I'll yell at you later.
I
And
know,
you'll
I'm gonna
cry,
get-
and then you'll
And
get
I'll
over
cry
it.
and then I'll get over it. But there are a couple of things. One is bring a friend. The other thing is we meet up again on Sunday at 9 a.m. We also have What's Eating You on Facebook. We are also, by the end of next month, going to transfer over onto our own website and have our own forums. So it doesn't matter for the addicts who can't be on Facebook and don't want to be on Facebook. There'll be
Yeah.
another ad for,
Yeah.
for them. And do you want to do?
I'm gonna do the promises from the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Because they're true, you guys, they're
I've got
true.
something.
If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we're halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, you guys, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how know how to handle situations that used to baffle us. We suddenly realize that the universe does for us what we can't do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We don't think so. They're being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly and sometimes slowly, but they do always materialize if we work for them. I'm blessed and grateful for every one of you. Thank you for being a part of my recovery, and I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. And this is our Thursday evening Why Wait for Recovery community meeting.
And I just want to say thank you to those who are in service. Angelie, Ahmed, Dawn, Karen, Jessica, thank you all for your service, and also to General Provision and Trim Agency for this fabulous space in our war room in Fat Village. And we love you, I love you, and peace out,
Peace out.
everybody.
Recovery is awesome, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. Did it. Thank you. Uh-oh.
And breathe.
Okay. Thank you, guys.